Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk Blogging and Podcasting Tips. Tonight, so far it's just me and Clay. So
Hello.
Clay is from the Fish Nerds podcast, which is awesome. I got to do an intro for him when I met him up at Podcast New England, like a couple months ago, right?
It was a long time ago now.
Was it? Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was. It was still cold out, wasn't it?
I don't remember the date,
Or
but it
no?
was the day of the Pride Parade. That's all I remember. I couldn't tell you the date otherwise.
Maybe it couldn't have been that cold out. Actually, I think no. You know, it was hot because I remember going to lunch and sweating a
It
lot.
was spring or
Oh,
early summer.
hey,
Someone else is here.
welcome, Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great, man. All right,
Oh, jeez. Hold on.
all
Are
right.
you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
nice
well,
shirt,
then
by the way.
yeah, right. I'm gonna switch to my mic. Hold on.
All right,
Yeah.
Clay, why don't you get started by introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Clay Groves. I am the co-host of the Fish Nerds podcast and a co-founder of the Outdoor Podcast channel, where you can get 7 outdoor shows a week, one a day, on one RSS feed, and most famous for having caught and eaten every kind of freshwater fish in New Hampshire. So if you can be famous for fishing, we did it. That's us.
Steve, you ready to introduce yourself?
Yep. All right. My name is Steve Childs, and I do a Game of Thrones podcast with two other co-hosts. It's called The Flood of Talk, and you can get to it at afotpodcast.com.
AFT.
Awesome. And as always, I'm Joe Pardo from well, now it's I haven't really announced it, but it's the Dreamscape podcast network. But yeah, that's 5 different podcasts, and including
Oh,
this
wow.
quote unquote podcast. But yeah, so anyway, we just got done the podcast Mid Atlantic, and
Yeah.
a whole lot of stuff, man, is going on. But we can get into that a little bit later. Right now, hold on, I'm trying to get my lower third on here. Where's my lower third at?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh.
there we go. Joe Pardo podcast Mid Atlantic. Yeah, that's cool. All right, so
Oh, that is cool.
yeah, so you should put your lower third on.
I don't even know how to do that.
It's
I
under
need to make one, actually.
the hangout box. The little thing with the quotes in the orange bubble or the green bubble, and the little wrench. That's what you're looking for.
Little wrench.
Yeah, if you put your
Oh,
mouse over the screen. You guys have to apologize. My back is a little
I'm looking. I'm
messy
looking for
tonight.
that.
I don't know what
What?
you're
But
talking
the
about.
box with the little wrench?
Yeah.
Really? Hold
Oh
on.
no, I see it. I see it. It does it. It says control room, right?
No, not control room. It's above
No.
that.
Oh dang, that's not it.
Maybe below it.
Oh.
Just above it is Hangout Toolbox.
Hangout.
Oh yeah, I see it. Oh,
Where do you see this thing?
it's right. It's on the left-hand side,
Here,
and
look at my screen.
there's a little icon.
See my
There's
screen
like an
right there?
icon there.
Oh, I don't
I know
have
my
that.
screen looks funny now.
I
You
don't
don't
have
have
that.
it?
Nope. Nope.
You might have to click on the dots and add it.
I have dots.
Yeah, at the very bottom there's dots.
My goodness. You've got a lot going on your
Huh.
screen, Joe.
Well, it's because it's incepting itself.
Hmm.
Oh,
Nothing.
You see the dots?
Nope.
No.
Nope. But I believe you.
Okay.
No, I have.
Well,
All I have is the first 3 icons on there: the chat icon, the screen share, and the showcase, and that's it. So
weird.
nothing. Yeah. Oh, well.
And there's not 3 dots underneath all that?
Nope.
That is
No,
strange.
I saw on your screen share what you were talking about.
oh yeah, I see it's the custom overlay, right?
Hmm.
Is that it when you're
Oh,
in there? The
yeah. Oh,
custom
sorry.
overlay.
Yeah, the custom overlay on the top left of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a little circle with your head, like a head, a silhouette of a head. That's where that's at, and then you just click on lower third on, and then you can actually save it. So at the bottom it says save preset, so you could save it, and then it'll always be when you click on it. Shame you can't do
Yeah.
default and like always
I think you have to make one though, right? There's no. Is there a default?
Well, I have one called default, but I don't know. Like, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't defaultly come on when I get into Google Hangout, unfortunately.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Uh,
This is my first
let's
time ever
see.
even touching Google Hangout, so
Oh, Google Hangouts
yeah,
is amazing. I
that's
love it.
pretty great. Yeah, except I don't have that button.
That's weird. Anyway,
I'm over it.
on the bigger and better things. Yeah. So we just got done podcast Mid Atlantic. Steve I was fortunate enough that Steve came out.
Yep, I was there.
Panelist as well, which was awesome. What did you think, Steve?
Oh man, I thought it was great.
Oh, well, thank you, thank you. There's a lot of work that went into that.
Oh, I'm sure there was.
It was funny. I was counting up the hats that I had to wear during the conference, and it was like 9 hats.
9 hats.
Like
Well,
like 9 different jobs that would have been like
yeah,
at
exactly.
most conferences would be like it's one person's job per thing, like per
Right.
thing, and it was like nine. It was 9 jobs that I had to juggle around. Wasn't perfect, but it went off pretty well. In fact, the great news is just earlier tonight I went over my very good friend's house who has FiOS, so I could upload the 36 gig video of the whole event.
Wait, say that again?
I had to go over to my friend Mike's house tonight to upload the whole video because it's 36 gigs and he has FiOS, so it's 75 megs up instead of my 10
Yeah.
from Comcast. I
Oh.
was able to do it in just over an hour. I uploaded it. I'm still waiting for it to finish processing on YouTube because it's almost 7 hours long.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But I'm fortunate that he was able to. So I was able to go over his house and do it because otherwise it would have taken me 8 hours just to upload it. On
Yeah,
my
that's
connection.
yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, we had a great time. There was all the speakers and everything. Everything's going to be for free, available right on YouTube, and I hope everybody checks out. I plan on doing some promo videos out of it too. I have it up on my screen to do that later tonight. But yeah, I've gotten nothing but love back for it. It's or for the most part nothing but love. It was really quite an experience. So looking forward to next year. It's September 10th. Clay, you should come out September 10th.
I'll put it on the calendar. I work in schools, and so that first week of September
Oh.
is the hardest time to do anything. But I'll put it on the calendar anyway. I mean, it's only New Jersey, right? It's only for me 9 hours away. So, Steve, where
Yeah,
did you?
I would fly.
Yeah, Steve, where did you go out from? Are you from the Jersey area?
Baltimore. So it was an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, not too bad.
No, not at all. I used to go back and forth to Baltimore all the time when I was much younger. Like way when I shouldn't have been driving at all at that point. Too tired, trying to like put the window down at 10 degrees outside, just to try to stay awake.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. So anyway, looking forward to getting all that out. Now, Clay, before we got on, you were talking um about being on public radio and how it doesn't seem to really like give you that kick or that jolt.
Yeah. Well, let me back up. Just let me back up a little bit. Give some quick history, okay? So for our show is crafted to be very car talkish. Take a topic that car talk, right?
Yeah.
You both heard it? Yeah. So it's kind of a show. I mean, no one cares about cars, but these two guys talk about cars and laugh a lot. Everyone loves the show. So we talk about fish. I mean, and it could be a very boring topic, but the goal is to bring people in and laugh a lot and tell stories. And Boston Public Radio, who created that show, heard of us, invited us on. We've been on a few times there. And we thought every time we got on public radio, we were going to be like having this massive amount of new downloads on our show. And 3 times on Boston Public Radio, and not one of them had a measurable impact on downloads on our show. And then we hooked up with New Hampshire Public Radio as news people. So Dave and I, the Fish Nerds, we make news for New Hampshire Public Radio, and they play our fish stories within their news segments, and they always say, and that you can hear more from the Fish Nerds at fishnerds.com or iTunes. And again, no real measurable impact on downloads. So we thought we were winning, and the reality is people were hearing about us and talking about us, but not downloading the show. And so we're having a hard time figuring out how to take that leap and like get people to actually download the show. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
No, it does. It does. Well, think about it in terms of like if you're on TV, right? It's more valuable and like it's way more valuable for you to have that video on your website than it is for you to like be on TV.
Absolutely.
Because not as many people are going to see you on TV as the people that care about what you're doing and will see that, oh, hey, he did qualify and he did get, he is qualifying what he's doing and he was on TV.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we took all those stories that we did on public radio, we embedded them on our website. They're available. People can go get them. We also got cast on a National Geographic reality show, and we thought that was going to be the put us over the top thing, and that didn't do it either. So.
Really? So you were on National Geographic show?
No, we got cut because the show was called The Ice Holes, and it was an ice fishing reality show filmed up in Lakes Region, New Hampshire. And we got signed immediately at the tryouts, and then they cut us before filming because neither one of us are willing to get drunk on camera because we both work in education and in the public sector. So.
Oh yeah.
They weren't going to use us, after that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, that's why their show got canceled, I think, because they didn't use nerds.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely say that it's more it's more important to have the video than actually being, and I think I think it's just a validation, right? Like
sure. Sure. Well, I mean, one leads to the other. So by getting on Boston Public Radio, we got credibility. We got on Boston Public Radio. Then we get hired to go speak at events from there. So there's some back end, but not a lot. So it's mostly though, you do a lot of work and you're like so excited, you just want people to get the message and hit that download button, and you make sure you say that, and then nothing, and that's you get something, but it's not, not the thousands you want, it's the 10 and 12 more people,
And maybe it's just it's like different audiences. Like the TV audience isn't necessarily like the podcast audience, So like people who are going to sit and watch National Geographic may not necessarily be the audience that's going to download a podcast, possibly.
Right. Well, you always hit that wall of, trying to explain what a podcast is, and as soon as you start explaining it, it's over. Forget it.
What's the podcast? Never mind.
Forget it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably what it was. It's probably something, old media versus new media, and that audience doesn't necessarily cross over well.
Yeah, well, in Boston there was an event called the Rise of the Podcast, and they had Carrie, the CEO from PRX, and they released all the big NPR podcasts. She was speaking. The guy who I forgot his name, he owns WRKO. He was speaking about impacts of podcasts. And then, of course, the Fish Nerds were speaking about podcasts. And so that was an event focused on podcasters, put on by public radio with the biggest names in podcast. And I don't know why I was there, but those guys were there as well. And we thought, there it is. In that room, we tried to get everyone to download our show right then to see if we could move up the iTunes charts. And that night, we went up from like number 200 to like number 50. And then we disappeared again down to number 200 something. So we're in the top 300 in our category all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, but that's kind of where we sit in that same section. I want to be the number one show in the outdoor, market.
It's a tough gig, man.
Yeah, it's very ambitious.
There and stay there. Daryl, please introduce yourself.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I can barely
talking to
hear you,
me.
man.
Oh, I can barely hear you. You're like very static.
Me?
Yeah.
Actually, I hear him fine.
Really?
Me too. Yeah.
I could barely hear you, Joe. I'm Daryl. I'm sorry I joined late. I forgot, and then I saw the reminder. So yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
joined
you
late
saw
too.
it. Does that sound better? I turned my mic up a little bit.
Yeah, I can hear you good now. I think maybe you were sitting far away or something
Oh
too.
yeah, I was like back here.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for joining us. We were just talking about downloads, and we were talking about podcast Mid Atlantic and how awesome it was, and yeah, it's been a crazy week.
Cool. Well, congratulations on finishing the event and pulling it off,
Thank you,
man.
thank you. It was yeah, you'll actually the video will be up soon of the entire event. I had to go to, like I was saying, I had to go to a friend's house to upload the 36 gig 7 hour video.
Wow.
He has FiOS, so he had
Yeah.
he had a man's upload instead of some wimpy Comcast. You
I
know.
was telling after I came back from the conference, I have 4 kids, but two of my two sons, one's 18, the other one's turning 14 at the end of the month, but they do like they record like YouTube videos and they do Twitch streams with their friends and stuff, and they have like their channels that they're trying to publish stuff to, and I was like, oh man, I should have brought you guys to this thing,
Yeah,
because
I think it
with
would have
what
been
they're
good.
trying to do, yeah, and I was like, with what they're trying to do, it would have been some good information. So I told them I was gonna bring them next year.
I
You
think you
should.
should. I mean, my sister showed up just to hear Anthony Minaya talk.
Yeah,
Like she was there for like
his
after that she left. She was because she had other things to do that day, but she came
right.
just to hear him talk because she wanted to hear about social media, and that's all he talked about for 45 minutes.
Yep.
And
Yeah, it was a good talk.
yeah, I'm really glad that he took the time to come out, and all of them came out, and as well as yourself, because it was great. You know, actually, the only thing that happened with the video was when you guys, like, right when you started to introduce yourself on the panel, Steve,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
video, the camera died because I had it plugged into the wrong power strip on the cart. So
Yeah,
so like I had to cut like part of like pretty much everybody introducing themselves on the panel it isn't there, which is
that's
a
fine.
shame. Um, but it is what it is. I might have some video of it. I gotta look because I might have it on my handheld camera that I had sitting a little farther away, and I could probably the audio won't be great on it. That's the only problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do like I mean, if you want, for people who are watching it who weren't there, you could just put like a graphic up of who was on the panel
True,
Mm.
true.
on the video.
Yeah, I'll probably do that. I'll probably do that in the description.
Yeah, there you go.
Because
That'll work.
because the video being like 7 hours long, it took I think over 6 hours just to edit, like to make it, and then
Mm, wow.
after that, like I was like, oh crap, I forgot to put like the podcast Mid Atlantic logo like in the front of the video, so I went to go do
Yeah,
that.
and
Oh, it's gonna be another hour, and I'm like, oh yeah, screw that. I was like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Not right now.
yeah, it's no problem. Hey, it's the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean,
You improve as you.
it was definitely fun. I mean, what was your favorite thing about the event?
Uh, well, well, the thing I liked, the well, one was meeting people. I think that was the funnest part was just getting to know, uh, the people that I was able to talk to while I was there. That's number one. Number two, I really enjoyed the keynote speakers. The keynote speakers had great things to talk about. I learned a lot. And number three was the podcast competition. It was really fun, and we got to see a lot of good creativity for spur of the moment fake podcast production.
It
You know
was
that,
that was awesome, man.
yeah. So, and then you had to throw us a curveball, giving
Of
us
course.
3 extra items. It's like, here's 3 more items. Like,
With like 8 minutes to go, so
yeah, right.
the premise was that they had 45 minutes to craft a 5 minute podcast on and then perform it on stage, and
Yeah.
they got 3 items, and they were in teams of 4, and they were being judged on creativity and length and what their intro and outro song was and what their content was and everything. And they had the 3 items, but then I actually had bought enough for like 10 teams, and it was 5 teams. So I was like, hey, let's put these other items out in there. which is funny because the whole reason I did that was for that bow and arrow that didn't end up getting used. But
I know.
so 8 minutes ago, I was like, hey, everybody's going to pick another bag, and then you can get extra points if you incorporate these items into what you had
Right.
already been working on for the last like almost 40 minutes.
Hmm.
So it went over really, really well, and the team that won, man, I was literally crying.
Yeah, they were hilarious.
They were, and I've gone back and watched that video again, and it's still very funny. I mean, it's not as funny
Yeah.
as the first time, but it's still very, very funny. So that is
Yeah.
definitely getting clipped out to be a video,
Yeah.
like a promo video, because I was just dying during that.
When they did theirs, I was like, oh, it's over. They won.
They won by like 1 point. I mean, they didn't.
It's still though that I'm surprised it was by one because what they did was brilliant. It was well done. I mean, really, I really thought that if you didn't know any better, like you would have thought that group came to the conference together. Like that's how in sync they were with their.
None of them knew each other either. They were all.
I know.
No one knew any. Like actually, most of the groups. I think the only group. Actually, I don't think any of the groups had people that they knew.
Well, no, my group had the older guy and the younger guy were.
Michael O'Connell. So they knew each other.
Yeah, father and son.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it next year, and I've been trying to think of how I'm gonna make it different and fresh again this upcoming time. But yeah, it was amazing. Hopefully you can come down next time or come up next time, Daryl.
Yeah, I wanted to go this year. I couldn't make it since I was, like I said, I was out the weekend before. But you think you might?
It's September 10th, so put it in your calendar.
Yeah, when is it?
September 10th.
September 10th. Okay.
Yeah, put it in
2016.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be a one-day event again?
It's gonna be a one-day event again.
Okay.
Yeah, the one-day event worked. I think that the only problem we ran into was because I was juggling so many hats that day, I kind of like forgot to put breaks in between, like the events. So the only break we had was like the hour and a half for lunch. Everything else was just kind of get up and go whenever, like if you had to go to the bathroom or you wanted to stretch or whatever.
Yeah, it was just like.
Yeah, that was my bad. I take full responsibility for that. But yeah, I think all the talks, everything I think for the most part for being the first time, having I think we were just about 40 people, like right at the 40-person mark.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Very happy with the way it went off. So, but anyway, So what's everybody got going on? Like, what's podcasting wise? What kind of issues have you guys been running into? It's been a couple weeks since we last did one. You were on the last one, right, Steve?
I came in late. Yeah, I mean that was the one we had the all the echoing issues.
Oh yeah, I think that was that was definitely what's his face?
I don't know.
Parrish, Jamie Parrish.
Maybe.
Because he muted his mic at one point and it's just stopped, and then he came back and it was gone for a little while, and then it came back again.
Right.
Like as soon as he unmuted, like as soon as he after a while, it just started to come back again.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out if anybody was not using headphones, because that's really where you would get that feedback from. But
right. Well, he said he had like a second mic on or something.
Oh, that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Well, if it didn't have his mix minus set up right, that would do it.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Or you know what? Oh,
That's
and
true
I think
too.
he was saying he was using like an old XLR cable, and it was like if he jiggled it, it was I don't know. It wasn't making noise, or it was making noise if otherwise.
But there was a lot of people on that call.
Yeah, there
was a lot of people.
Like 8 of us, 7 of us.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting because usually there's we get there's a lot of people that say that they're gonna be there, but then.
Well, heck, I mean, this one I think's got like
15
people that said yes and a bunch of maybes.
Yeah, there was like 11 maybes or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, 11 maybes, 15 going, and we're at 4. It's not too shabby, right?
But the best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. There you go, Clay. But so earlier we were talking. I mean, to get back to what Clay was saying earlier about downloads and stuff like that, like it definitely can be difficult to get people to download your show, even if they know you. In fact, I think it's, in
Mhm.
my opinion, it's harder to get someone to do something if they know you.
Much
I agree.
harder.
I agree. Yeah.
I noticed that with like our birth video. Like I had to ask every single person to share it, but it's been seen 9,100 times now.
Jeez.
Yeah. Daryl, did you see I'm having a kid?
I did. I was actually going to say congratulations,
Oh.
and I was just trying to find the right spot, and I guess this is the right spot. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That video was hilarious too, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, somebody told me over the weekend that they thought it was corny as hell because they hated Tony Danza. I was like, wow, that's horrible. I was like, come on, man. You're the first person to have negative feedback about it. I was like, what does that say about you?
It's like I hated it. I don't
Tony
like Tony
Danza.
Danza.
Yeah, Tony Danza's the man.
I know.
Especially from that show. That show, he was funny.
Yeah, he was, and he's awesome now. He's awesome now because he wrote a book about teachers.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he taught. He took a job as a teacher for like a year, and then wrote a book about the experience.
Hold on a sec, guys.
All right, no problem.
The joy of
No, I'm not going anywhere. Stop. No, I'm not going anywhere. What?
Live TV. It's
beautiful.
fun.
Yeah, one of my clients a couple of years ago, they had like a Christmas special episode they did, and they called it the Extravaganza, and they had been teasing that Tony Danza was going to be joining them. And even I was like, are they going to have Tony Danza? And, because they're in North Carolina, and it turns out they had like a bunch of clips of Tony and his like catchphrases and stuff. And
Yo, Angela!
yeah, just different things, and they would punch him up every once in a while, and they got ripped so hard.
That's good.
I guess people really thought they were going to have Tony Danza on, and so now it's like a joke. Like, don't worry, guys, we're not going to have Tony Danza. We're never doing that again. I don't know. I never saw any of the feedback that came in, but I guess they got ripped pretty good.
Well, I hope they got a lot of listeners from that. We should do that. We should announce that Tony Danza's going to be on the Hangout and have him out here. We have at least 6 people listening.
Well, we do have a viewer. A viewer's been watching since pretty much the beginning.
Oh, we should apologize now.
Yeah, I know we've been a little off topic, but
I still got no bottom half.
yeah, you don't have that option for the.
No, I've been Googling the problem, and Google's useless for telling me why it's not working.
Oh,
But,
well, that sucks. Sorry to hear that.
No worries.
So anyway, so that's been going really well. The new podcast. I'm behind a week because I did a half marathon stuff out in California, and then came back and did a book signing, and then did a conference all in the same week.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
Hey, come on! I'm having a kid. It's gonna be like Marathon City every day. All
It
day.
is. All this free time you have for marathons is going to be gone very soon.
People keep saying that, but I'm like,
It's true.
I'm only sleeping like 4 hours a night anyway. So what's
Is this your first kid, Joe?
Yeah, it's the first kid.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, man, I'm ready for anything. That's why at the conference I was sweating like a pig.
Yeah.
Tell him, Steve. I was like drenched in sweat 90%.
Yeah, you were running all over the place, dude.
Dude, the pictures are kind of embarrassing. I got like sweat like coming off like all over here, and then like even like between my legs, like it looked like some of the pictures look like I peed myself. Seriously, I don't know what the heck happened. I was like, I didn't think I was sweating that bad, but I was running back and forth and just doing it all, man.
Yeah, you kept adjusting the audio. You were running back and forth with the mics and stuff.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, especially when we were first getting started.
Yeah.
That right, but But yeah, I would say like one thing that I've run into with is it's funny. Like I went from doing my show 5 days a week. Now then it was 3. Then I went down so I could write my first book, and then now I'm down to
Right.
1. I wrote my second book. It's not out yet, but now I'm back up to doing like 3 or 4 days a week because I produce all these other shows outside of my flagship show, and it's I liked it better when I was doing one show 1 day a week for like that 1 month where I did that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Yeah,
a
I don't know
TV
how.
show.
I don't even know how you did it. Well, actually, I mean, I could guess. I mean, because who was John Lee Dumas? He was the other guy that they were talking about at the show that does a daily show. I've never listened to his show, but does he still do a daily show?
He
Yeah.
does.
Mhm.
That's insane.
Yo, while we were here,
That's
Joey Kissimmee was here, and he was like, "Yo, I just saw on Twitter, John Lee Dumas just launched a new show, and it's about like I don't know, fantasy stuff."
Mhm.
I didn't
Really?
see it. Yeah.
It's a book he wrote, I think.
Oh, it's a book?
I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, I think he wrote a book, and it's the audio.
He wrote a fantasy book?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. Because he does his show is about entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of a big departure.
I would say so. I don't know where he got the time to write a book, like a fantasy book.
Well, yeah. Because that's all all he does is podcast, right? That's his job. That's what he does, pretty much.
Well, the webinar.
Does he have like a regular job? Does he like do something else?
Nope. That's it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, he's
Okay.
making like what? Like some months he makes what, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a month.
Yeah.
I
course
find
he-
that suspect.
Oh
Yeah.
He posted that picture though of a check. I don't know if you saw that. Like maybe Daryl, you saw that. He put a check. He was making out to the IRS for his quarterly taxes of $200,000.
Oh my
And that's his
goodness.
payment to the IRS.
Yeah, for a quarter.
So that he made more than $200,000 in that
Well, I made
quarter.
a lot more than $200,000 in order to do that. Which, if I was him, I wouldn't live in San Diego. I wouldn't live in California at all. I'd go to like, I was reading up on the rapper
Georgia or something like that.
Well, Macklemore, because he lives in Washington State, he's saving himself like between 9 and 13% on his taxes.
He's got to come to New Hampshire, where I am. New Hampshire has the second lowest tax burden in the country. No sales tax, no income tax. New Hampshire's where you want to be.
But then you're
Wow.
going to be living in snow like 9 out of the 10 months.
Hey, I ice fish 6.5 months a year.
You got to really love
Wow.
ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I own a snowplow, so I'm okay.
But no, man, I would totally, because that like 9% on that kind of money that he's bringing in, like that's a big
Yeah,
deal. Any state
is pretty freaking awesome. I mean, if I could afford to live there, I think I'd probably actually would live in Hawaii. If I could afford to live in San Diego, I could afford to live there too. But
I
San
don't know.
Diego's awesome.
I would travel there a lot. Put it that
Yeah.
way. So
Maybe
I
that's it.
my 9% and travel wherever I want to go when I want to go there, rather than giving it all up. Though with that said, if I was making that kind of money, I'd still live in Jersey. So I just
Yeah.
love it so much.
Well,
I couldn't wait to get out of New Jersey after high school. I'm like, the fastest I can get out of town, I was gone.
We're from New Jersey,
Rio Grande, exit 4,
Rio Grande.
just outside of Cape May. Yeah.
Oh,
Between
exit
Cape May
4 on the
on the Parkway. That's how you
Parkway,
measure.
okay.
Yeah, the Parkway.
Okay.
Yep. Couldn't wait.
Well, that's good. So
Wow.
you're living like not nowhere, but you're not. I mean, Cape May kind of sucks.
Ouch. It's a good place. I vacation there now, but
Yeah, well, it's as a kid, Cape May kind of sucks.
we had our fun. But yeah. But when you're in high school, and when you're in high school, everywhere you live sucks. I don't care where you're from. You want to get out of that town, and then you can cycle back as an adult. You're like, oh, I remember why my parents lived there, but I couldn't wait to get out.
yeah, that's probably
the
true.
house I grew up in, so
Yeah.
I bought it. That's how much I loved it.
Well,
Wow.
you're an odd duck.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got that right. But yeah, it's crazy. I was just telling somebody else the other day, like, I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to pay some damn taxes. That's what I want to do. I want to pay some taxes. That's all I want to do. 'Cause,
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
hey, if I'm paying taxes, that means I'm making money. If I'm making money, then
That's
I
very
don't,
true.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean that kind of answers that whole thing when you were talking about writing that check for $200,000. If you can afford to pay that kind of taxes, then taxes aren't a problem. Your economy's fine.
Yep.
You know, you've got nothing to worry about.
Well, I
You
wouldn't
don't
be
need a
posting a
tax
picture
shelter.
saying "ouch" on it in big letters.
No.
Just
No, but I
Hashtag
find that
just saying.
suspect. I find the whole thing, John Lee Dumas, I listen to his show, but I find the earnings to be suspect. I don't buy it. And to me, the hard thing for me is swallowing is, first of all, no one writes checks anymore. Like, we
That's
pay our
true.
taxes online. Like, that's something you do for show. But I'd be curious what the real data is, because I don't know. That's a
I don't
lot.
know. I have to pay quarterly taxes, and I have to write them a check every quarter. I
Well-
get a coupon from my CPA. It's a little ticket, and I
You
have to
do?
mail them in a check every quarter.
Maybe I'm jealous then. And I'm just want to
Stop
find
being
it.
no.
Like nobody writes checks anymore.
I'm looking
I
for a
don't
reason.
I go to PNC, like I use PNC, and I click on the send a check somewhere, and they just send the check for me.
Yeah.
But I don't have to pay the stamp. I don't do any of that.
Yeah. Although I would side with you, Clay, because if I was in that position, I would probably be looking for the online
Yeah.
option as opposed to having to do it old-fashioned. I'd be like, can I do this online? Can I fill the form out online? Can I?
Well, I do all my
Yeah.
business online. Yeah, even up in the sticks of New Hampshire, we do it all online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be asking my accountant, can I do this all online?
Yeah. But I don't make any money, so paying taxes on nothing is easy.
Well, you also
Yeah.
live in New Hampshire, where you're not paying taxes, so
Well, we still pay federal income, right? So
that's true.
Yeah, you still have to do those quarterlies
high-
to the.
yeah, the feds, and we have the highest property taxes, I think, second to New Jersey,
Hmm.
second highest. Sorry.
Yikes.
Hey, it is what it
Ouch.
is, man.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys have some great schools out of it, though.
We have zero dropouts in the state. It's illegal to drop out of school in New Hampshire, so we solved that problem by outlawing it.
Whoa.
Huh.
So like, I'm dropping out of school, they just like cart you off to prison.
The governor said to all these 16-year-olds who kept dropping out, says, look, you're 16. You cannot make adult decisions. Therefore, you're not allowed to drop out of school. And they made it illegal. And now, if you want to leave public day school, you have to have a plan for night school or online school or getting your GED or some other plan. You can't just leave school anymore.
Yeah,
What happens if you
it's
do?
not.
What's that?
Do they arrest kids that?
No, I so far it's I don't know what they do. They go night. I teach high school dropouts at night school now, biology, and it's a tough crowd, but they take it seriously. The truant offers will come and get them, bring them back to school.
It could be that in the state you can't hire somebody who doesn't have a
You can hire people.
GED or.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, then
Have you
it
ever
would
been
be
to a Home
weird.
Depot?
Well, anyway, that's not on topic anyway.
No, I know we're way off topic tonight. way off topic. Okay, so to get back on topic, what's something that each of you guys have learned recently, like a neat trick with podcasting or blogging? Why don't we start with you, Clay, and then we'll go Daryl and then Steve.
I haven't learned anything. But recently, I've started. You know what's funny is I don't like having guests on my show. We do a double ender. My partner and I records in his house. I record at my house. We mix the two together. And whenever a guest on, we use Skype or we use a phone call or whatever. And the sound quality is always so low. I don't like having guests on. But I learned if I don't have guests on, then my listeners don't grow. So I have to go back to interviewing people, even though it's not our favorite thing to do. So what I'm trying to learn is how to get good sound quality out of a phone call or out of Skype interviews, and I haven't seen it yet. And almost every example I've heard of people doing it, I haven't liked that either.
Have you tried PodClear?
No, I haven't.
You should get on the beta for that, because they used to use it where it was an app where both parties had to install the app.
Yeah.
Now it's all web-based, and
Well,
the audio quality is phenomenal.
I think the biggest trouble is I'm interviewing people in the fishing world who are not the techiest people. Like I just interviewed Brad Knight, who was like the biggest bass angler in the world. He just won the Big Net World Championship bass fisherman. By the way, I don't watch any sports, including fishing, so I didn't know who he was until his people contacted me. But he didn't even have Skype. I mean, you just got a check for $500,000 and you can barely use a computer. So, yeah, I can't imagine having him download anything else.
No, you don't download anymore. You send him to a web page and it just works.
Yeah, we use a phone. But I'm gonna check out PodClear. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's they were a sponsor of the conference, but I tested out with Shane Whaley, who was at the conference before the conference, and I was really impressed. Now, I mean, it costs some money to use it. It's not like free like a Skype or a Google Hangout solution or anything like that, but I was just really impressed with the quality and the fact that we didn't have any dropouts over like a 25-minute conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd pay. We have a Patreon campaign, and we make a little bit of money on there. Covers all of our costs. I would happily pay if it was clear as recording it ourselves. I would pay for it, or if it's close, even if it's close to recording.
I don't know that it works on a cell phone yet, but because it's still in beta. But yeah, I do have a code for I can send you over a code.
Yeah, send it along. Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, because if I can get good interview sound, I'd do more of them. I just don't like them.
Right. No, that's understandable. I'm getting that with the Living the Dream podcast with the Disney Legends. Like almost every person's like, "Can I call you on a cell phone?" And I'm like, "Oh man."
Well, I asked.
Number.
You can get Skype. Yeah.
You can get a Skype number where they can.
Oh yeah, I did. No. I did all that, but the thing is, it still sounds like they're calling me from a cell phone.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I asked some public radio reporters how they solve that problem, because it happens a lot to them too, where they want to get the good sound quality for their interviews, and what they do is they'll tell someone to borrow their friend's iPhone and push record, and basically have a phone to their ear and a phone on and a recorder in front of them, and do a double ender that way, and they get better quality than with Skype or with anything else they've been using. That's their little trick. But the idea is to make your guest not work hard. Like that's
right.
You want your guest to make it simple, and I hate putting people to work for me if I'm not, if I don't know them well.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, that's a neat thought. I mean, it's funny. I was talking at the conference, Tayo and that guy Ivan, the guy that had the Podcasters Paradise shirt on. They went into like the back of Ivan's car, and they both each used their own iPhones, and they hit record at the same time. I was like, why would you do that? I was like, you're in a car. You could have just like put it down and talked like in the general direction of it, and it would have sounded fine. Because actually, that's what he ended up doing. Instead of using both recordings, he went back and synced them up. He just wound up using his recording because it sounded just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is interesting. But yeah, most people would not necessarily have another phone laying around.
No.
Or know what the voice recorder app is on that phone. And that's assuming that they have an iPhone, because I could be wrong. I don't use an Android, but I've experienced that where some Android phones don't have a voice recorder on there by default. Now you're going back like a year or two ago, but yeah, I don't know.
I know we're thinking about buying a couple more H4Ns and setting them up. This is what we record on every day, is just a regular H4N, and we're thinking about buying a couple more of these and just mailing them out to our guests with them set to record and have them mail them back to us, just so we can get what we want out of them.
Wow.
We are so frustrated with bad sound that I just can't take it anymore. So.
I think that's not a horrible idea. I think that's an expensive idea.
It's an expensive.
Yeah.
Well, they have the other smaller version, the H1s or something.
Yeah, the H1. That's like $99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the shipping that's going to get you.
Yeah, I'd gladly pay it as long as I got the machine back. I would gladly.
Well,
pay
what is it? USPS does that flat rate, and something like an H1 would definitely work for something like that.
Yeah, it'd be like $5 each way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if the guest is worth it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell a guest you're not worth it.
Well, hey, but not every guest wants to like, hey, give me your address, your home address. I know
Like,
that
what do you want that for?
Yeah, so I can send you this thing, and they're like, I know how to fish. Is that
Yeah.
good for you?
Gotta drop off the boat.
So, Daryl, how about you? What's something that you've learned recently that's a neat like trick or a tip?
Well, I spend my days editing audio all day. So I don't know if this tip will be good for you guys as how much as it was for me. But anyway, last year I bought an SSD and moved all of my production work over to the SSD. So my Adobe Audition and Audacity, and then all of my files where I save them are all on the SSD. And so that really sped things up as far as read write speeds and stuff like that.
What is SSD?
A solid state hard drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of like your wafer, traditional hard drive. So anyway, it's been great, but I still feel like I spend a lot of time just staring at export screens. So one of the things I'm doing is maybe looking at upgrading my machine. I've got a 2012 iMac, but one of the things that I did is both Audition and Audacity. If you go into like your preferences for them, there's a place where the folder where it stores all your cached files. So as you're working through your audio, it's caching all of your, all those decisions that you're making into a folder, and that's what it's pulling from if you want to undo and all that stuff, right? So what I discovered was that folder in both of those programs was still writing to my regular hard drive, and so I switched that folder to my SSD because my SSD gets read speeds of like, I don't know, 500, 600, 700 megabits per second, where my traditional drive is getting like 120 megabits per second. So it's a whole lot faster. And so just switching that caching folder from the default location, which is my regular hard drive, over to my SSD, gave me another speed boost. It's not taking as long to export my files now, so.
That's good.
Yeah. I love my SSD. I upgraded my 2012 Mac Mini to an SSD Evo 840 from Samsung. It's
Yeah, I think that's what I've got.
It's for the price, it's phenomenal. And it's what it makes me wonder why they still even have like iMacs with spinning hard drives at all.
Cheaper. They're just cheaper to produce.
Yeah, they are cheaper.
And Macs are already expensive.
Yeah, but the thing is you have this super fast computer, and then you got this 5400. It's just like this Mac Mini. Like this Mac Mini.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I have a Core i7 quad core. It's 16 gigs of 1600 megahertz RAM, and
yeah, and a 5400
hard drive just makes everything crawl.
Mm-hmm. That's the bottleneck. Yep.
Like, let's open my Word document on my Core i7, and it's just like, wait.
Why is this taking a day?
Yeah. So I'm already looking at my next computer. I'm waiting for them to come up with the next generation of Mac Pros, but I think I'm going to spring for the Mac Pro.
Really? Well, you're doing a lot of editing and stuff.
That's all I do all day. That's all I do all day is edit. And so, but what I discovered is, because I never really looked at the Mac Pro before, but you can get the bottom line, the baseline, and then you can upgrade the CPU and the RAM and the hard drive yourself. Those are not like soldered into the motherboard. So
really, the hard drive isn't?
Not even the hard drive, not even the CPU. So
wow.
You could. What I'm looking at, I totally geek out on this stuff. So I've already spec'd out what it would cost to buy the low-end model, sell the existing hard drive, RAM, and CPU, buy the ones that I would want, and then sell my iMac that I have now, and like what my final cost would be. And it's actually pretty reasonable. So that's probably what I'll end up doing.
Wow. Yeah, I've thought about going with the Mac Pro, but I really love the idea of getting the iMac Retina, but I want to wait until they upgrade it again, because the newer graphics, discrete graphics that are coming out are way faster, and stuff like that is stuff I want, because I do a lot more video editing now than I did 5 months ago, 6 months ago. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait until they make an announcement, because it's been 2 years since they came out with the Mac Pro. They haven't really upgraded it since then, so they're due. and then when they
Yeah.
announce it, then I'll have to make a decision on,
Mhm.
what direction I want to go. But anyway, that has saved me some time by moving my caching folder over to my SSD.
That's a great tip. I wouldn't have realized that because I just have the one SSD installed. So
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So I kept because I've got the iMac. Like I said, it's the late 2012 model, and so you can't really upgrade the hard drive. Even Apple won't do it for you. I called them one day, and no, we don't upgrade the hard drives. Your hard drive has to
Wow.
crash before we'll do anything with it. I'm like, okay. So that's when I went the external, USB 3 SSD, and I've been happy with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the speed on that should be good enough to keep it going. I
Hmm.
know my two USB 3 drives, they're not SSDs, and it actually does slow my system down a little bit. Sometimes when I click on the Finder, you hear them spin up every
Hmm.
friggin'
Yeah.
time, and
I've got a drive that's that way too. I use it for my time machine, and it is when I
Yep.
have to access it, it's like you hear it spinning out. I'm like, oh, this is killing me.
I know it just sounds like destruction every time I hear it. Sound.
Yeah, you're hearing the lifespan of your drive tick away when the thing's spinning.
Yeah.
Like one day it's just gonna go click 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 click, and you're like, oh, my data.
Yeah. But hey, USB drives are cheap now. I mean, you can get the 2 terabyte 2.5 incher for like what, $80?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I just bought a 4 terabyte 2 weeks ago for like 120, 115, something like
yeah.
that.
The
It's not
3.5,
bad.
right?
No, it's the yeah, no, it is whatever the
3.5
full
version.
desktop size version
Oh,
is.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the drives are definitely cheaper. They're definitely getting cheaper and cheaper and all that. But yeah, the whole everything needs to be solid state.
Yeah, because it
All needs to be
virtually
solid state.
lasts forever, pretty much.
Well, at this point, yeah, because the software side of things has gotten good enough to make it that way.
Right. And you don't have the moving parts that can cause a hardware failure.
Yeah, like I don't know about you guys, but I hate carrying USB hard drives like in my bag. Like I feel like
Really?
I'm just like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm just like asking for trouble.
I love USB drives.
Awesome.
Well, I do like under my desk, but not like throwing it in my bag and then like my bag getting all jostled around and stuff. Always
Yeah, they're
worried about it.
pretty robust though. Wait, are you talking about the USB external drives, or are you talking about actual flash drives?
Oh, not flash drives. I'm talking about
Oh
like
yeah, well no, I don't.
like
Yeah, I don't
other
carry
drives.
those around.
Oh
I
yeah.
just carry those ones.
Yeah, I'm always worried. So Steve, how about you? What's been something you've learned recently?
Nothing necessarily having to do with podcasts at the moment, but I am looking forward to getting with the what's his name from the Teacher Cast. So I got his information. So we're going to be hooking up, and I'm going to spend an hour with him. He's going to give me some tips on how to do effective video streaming, because I was considering. I think I was talking about this early on the tip show about doing a video stream. So instead of it just, and I want it to be something professional looking, so with the lower thirds and other branding graphics and multiple windows from my co-host and stuff like that. So I'm going to get with him. He's going to give me the lowdown. So that's what I'm looking forward to learning. As it is, nothing specific right now. Although, Clay, with what you said about interviews, I was really happy to hear at the conference when Dave Jackson got up there and said you can do a podcast without interviews. Because it's like everybody wants to do interviews. Like it's like there seems to be like this kind of, and I listen to podcasts where there aren't any not a lot of interviews, where it's primarily the co-host. So I know that there's a lot of successful podcasts out there that do it. But it seems like when everyone's starting out or when they're really trying to grow, it's like everybody wants to get the interview. So it's just like, it was good to hear him say that on stage. Like you don't have to have interviews on a podcast.
You don't. Now, Steve, do you have interviews on your show?
No, not on Game of Thrones. Nope, it's just me
No.
and my co-hosts.
Yeah, and it's more fun without having to worry about how to ask someone a question or get to know them a little bit. But we
Yeah, and
have maybe about half of our shows have interviews. So
yeah, and the other thing I agree with you about the quality is that you do have to kind of be aware of what they have. And when I first started podcasting, there was I tried to start a video game podcast, and one of my co-hosts on that was recording on his iPad, and it was terrible. Like, an iPad is an omnidirectional mic, so every little sound that happens in his house was just coming through loud and clear. So he'd be upstairs recording. His wife would come in the house, close the front door, you'd hear that. His kids in the next room, talking, you'd hear that. If he was walking around and he went to his fridge to get something out of the refrigerator, you'd hear that. It was like, dude, can you get a mic or something and some headphones?
The inline mic, even, that came with it.
Yeah.
yeah, well, we started off we first started podcasting. We didn't know what we were doing, and we had the worst sound on earth, and we thought we were great. And then
Oh yeah, I know.
here we are 3 years later, and I can't even listen to my old shows. I'm like, God, we were featured in New and Noteworthy before we even heard of New and Noteworthy. We didn't even know what it was, and our show was awful. And now I wish we can get back to that with what we've got now, because it would help us.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. and I've learned a lot in these few short years that I've been doing this. But yeah, that's where it is. Looking forward to the meeting that I got scheduled. So
Good. I'm glad that you. I hope you find it useful. He does have a lot of great information. He gave a great talk too about relating his triplets,
Yeah.
and how podcasting changes lives.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Like I said, all the keynote speakers were great for that conference. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, I don't know. I guess for me, it's been a lot of experimenting, like with Birth, the new show. It's storytelling, right? Storytelling through conversations and stuff like that. And uh, I mean, I guess for a simple one would be, who was it from last week or 2 weeks ago that told us about AutoDuck? That is
That was
amazing.
me. I told you about that.
Or somebody else.
It was
that
me.
Great.
In Audacity, you can do AutoDuck.
And AutoDuck is fantastic because AutoDuck allows you to just talk over audio.
Yep.
Talk over audio.
And then the audio automatically cuts itself based on the frequency that it's.
We're waving.
Oh, there's.
I'm waving. I guess they're on mute. Oh, they are.
Yeah, exactly.
I would. I guess working on getting good audio in places has been a little tough. Using record between the recorder or the iPhone in like big open air situations and stuff like that, definitely has been tough.
Yeah.
But definitely worth it for the storytelling aspect. Oh, I'm waving. I'm trying to think of like something that sticks out to me. I know one problem I've had, not to totally change the subject, is with my audio interface. I've been getting I have a second microphone, like a second Shure SM7B, and I've run into this problem where like me and my wife are talking, but for some reason on her input, I'm getting like a weird buzzing sound that I wasn't getting before. Like in the first 3 episodes, I didn't get a buzzing sound, but in this 4th episode, I had like this horrific buzzing sound that I'm like, I just kind of want to go and re-record the whole thing because it sounds like crap. Like I can, kind of clean it up as much as I can, but it sounds like crap.
Was it you guys were just recording to your
audio
digital
interface.
recorder?
No, it's the
Oh,
audio interface.
okay, so this is in your house then, so through
Yeah.
the setup that you have. Mm.
Mhm.
Well, I'll tell you what I've found. A couple of things that I've kind of discovered with my own setup, and it was very simple. Like there was and this wasn't on a podcast, but I just, I'm in the basement here, and right behind me, my little alcove here is like the rest of the basement, and then we have like a big screen in there, and you know, family comes down to watch TV. So if I'm in here and I want to play a game or I'm watching a YouTube video or something, then I'll just turn on my stuff and listen to, through my sound system that I have for podcasting. And one day I did that, and that's what I heard. I heard like I was just sitting here, and I was like, "What the heck?" And I was like, I was checking. I was on my mixer, and I was, kind of messing with knobs, and I'm like, is there something on that I left on, and it's just humming, and so I was going through all my cables, making sure stuff was plugged in, and I have a bunch of stuff kind of plugged in. Like I have like a unused cell phone that I use as a as a media player that's on the wall that's plugged in. I've got my digital recorder plugged in. I've got a second PC plugged in. I've got my main PC. I've got my microphone, and I was checking all that, and I was like, what the heck? And then I realized that a power signal can mess with an audio signal. So I went underneath my desk, and like I have all my audio cables like kind of separated from my power cables, and in this particular instance, one of my audio cables had come loose from the bundle and had dropped down and was just resting on one of my power cables. And when I picked that freaking cord up off the power cable, the hum went away. And I was like,
Wow.
oh. So that's something that you could check. You might have an audio cable just sitting on a power cable. And if you just
Huh.
move it away from the power cable, your hum's going to go away. I mean, that's what, I had a similar problem, and that was my solution after spending like 30 minutes going through all my knobs and settings and connections. And that
That's
was the one thing that
weird.
solved it.
No, because her mic is separate. Like I have mine on an arm, like this,
Uh-huh.
but her mic
Yes.
is just like on a desk thing, like a
Right.
desktop holder or mic stand. So she just had the cable. But I think what it might be is I think the first time or the first couple times we did it, I was able to use just one. Looks like I have like 2 3 foot or 2 3 foot XLR cables, or maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
4 foot or 5 foot. I think they might be 5 foot or something like that. But anyway, to get it long enough, I needed to put the two together because it's like
Oh,
five
that
foot,
might have been it then.
and I'm thinking that might be what it is, and going forward, I'll
Yeah.
just have to use one of my other longer cables.
Yeah, so maybe the connection between those two cables was unshielded enough that it accepted whatever.
I mean, I have two monitors right here, so.
Yeah,
Oh
possibly.
damn, the Eagles lost.
Oh, did they? Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wait, what time is it? Oh, the Niners should be coming up soon.
10-16. Yeah, 26-24. That sucks.
Oh, well, that's probably
Bradford
good for my
sucks.
fantasy team because I have Julio Jones on my fantasy team, so
Oh yeah,
hopefully he
he was lighting it up.
Oh,
From what I
yes.
saw, so he's probably to do well.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. The next time we record, which should have been today, but I guess we're gonna try to record tomorrow or something. I'll have to use one cable and
Yeah.
hope for the best.
That sounds like that's probably your issue. If that's the difference between when you guys have recorded in the past, and that's
Going into the
probably your
same,
issue.
yeah, going into the same port and everything. So,
Hmm.
I do have a question for you guys. Now, since I had two SM7Bs, I've tried turning down the volume a little bit on both of ours. It seems like one of the two pick up a little bit more than the other. So like you kind of get that echo effect a little bit. Does anybody have any experience in like minimizing that when we're both on like the same table, like kind of next to each other?
Yeah. Yeah, I had the same thing. I've just off camera here. I've got another Heil PR40, and we get the same thing. So we
Oh crap! Sorry guys. Let me close that.
What?
I didn't think that was gonna happen.
What? I didn't see
Sorry.
any. What?
yeah, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Okay.
Oh, that you know what? Because I had my. Okay, yeah, it's all good.
So
ahead.
what I have done to minimize that is to you're using a mixer, I would assume, since you've got two 7Bs.
No, just using the audio interface because it's high powered enough to handle.
Well, do you have a balance control on there for each mic?
For each channel, yeah, there's a volume. Oh, balance me like left and right.
Yeah,
No, they're each individual channels.
yeah. So what I do, because I've got a mixer right here, so I'll pan mine to the left channel and my co-host to the right, and which is essentially giving us a double ender at that point. And so
Right.
now you can see the echo coming in my mic when he's talking, and my echo coming in his mic when I'm talking, and just mute that out. When so you've got my voice and his voice, and then when he's talking, you can see the echo on my channel. I can just easily mute that out, and that gets rid of the echo. But
Yeah,
if you don't have
that's a lot
if you
more
don't have
work than
balance
it
control, you need to be able to separate those out into two separate recordings, just like you would a double ender.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, actually, there's a question that I have. So you got two Heil PR40s, you said, right?
Mhm.
Those mics are supposed to reject rear pickup, right? So like if you actually had, like I guess yours is next to you, but if you were in a studio where you had two Heil PR40s and your co-host was facing you, so that the backs of the mics, you wouldn't really have that problem, I would imagine.
I wouldn't say that you wouldn't have the problem. I mean, it's going to reject. It's a cardioid pattern, so it is going to reject what's coming from the back side of the microphone. But that doesn't
Right.
mean that it doesn't get anything from there. It's just
Okay.
it's just not as sensitive to the back side.
Alright.
And it's going to depend on your room setup and how
That's
much
true.
echo you got. And like my co-host, he's got a really loud voice, and so his voice gets picked up really easily by my mic. It's more of an issue of his echo getting registered on my mic than it is my voice getting registered on his.
Gotcha.
Same
Okay.
with me. It's my voice picking up on hers, and hers not picking up on mine.
Yeah.
And we kind of sit so that there's a gap between our two mics, so they're not. It's not like we're both sitting like right next to each other with two microphones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you can also look at gaining them down a little bit. I mean, when you gain them down, you're not as sensitive, so you're not going to pick up as much of
Yeah.
anything. And part of that would be the echo. And then maybe in post-production, you can still find the gain that you need through your software settings.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was trying that too, but I didn't want to turn them too far down.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I need to play with that a little bit more.
Joe, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what's up, Clay?
Oh, hang on. Let me put my lower third up here. Hang on.
Bravo.
Yeah, it doesn't work on my computer. The question I had, Joe, was when you're recording with the baby podcast, what's it called? The birth.
Birth.
Do you record like live to podcast? You just like make it and put it out there, or do you do a ton of editing? We're big editors, so I was curious about that. Because when Dave and I record, my partner, he lives 75 miles away, and the only time we record together is at a live event. And then there's so much background noise anyway that the echo is immeasurable because there's so much rowdiness going on around us anyway. So, what's your style?
So we record like conversation, and then I edit that conversation, and then I put in like the other conversations that we had, like that we might have recorded with our phone or my digital recorder or video, and I strip the video out and just take the audio out of that. So it's really like, but because it's a storytelling type thing, like I don't like I won't have her like explain what you're about to hear. It'll just be like we'll be talking, and it'll just go naturally into whatever we recorded on the recorder. So it's not like us double explaining unless there's a situation that we need to set up. Then we'll set up the situation and then play the audio.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to like explain what you're about to hear and then you hear it, because then it's just like double. It's not good storytelling.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what with the show. It's trying to walk that fine balance between infotainment and storytelling.
Yeah.
Because the storytelling aspect is really important for me and going forward for my kid and family and future everything.
Mhm.
But it's the infotainment, like there's some of that in there, but that's really it's kind of like the afterthought at the end. Like the end of each episode, we kind of catch up on like that kind of the information side of things, not so much the story of it. But yeah, it is tough because we're here and it's quiet, in my office, but it's not soundproof by any stretch. So even with the this awesome mic that doesn't really capture. I mean, if I step back here, I mean, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right, but it's not nearly as pronounced as like when you hear me here. So yeah, so it's tough. It's something I've been learning because before I just had 2 USB microphones and that's how we did it and that's it.
Yeah, that's how we started, and we kind of grew out of the USB. We used to record right to Audacity, and now we
Yep,
don't
me
even
too.
touch Audacity anymore. Now we just use the H4Ns. That's all we record on.
I'm still using that. I wouldn't mind giving it a try. Like I could just unplug my mic and plug, get another cable and plug it right into the H4. Or I have a
It's
DR40, but
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use a Tascam too to record. I don't
Mhm.
record into software.
No, not anymore. Gave it up.
Yeah, that was too glitchy for me.
Yeah, and you're in the same room, Joe, with your other guy? Yeah.
oh, wait. I'm sorry?
You're in the same room with your other guy, right? When you record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
His
like
wife.
I've got the H5, which is similar to the 4N, and so
Mhm.
because you have the 2 XLR inputs, you can separate them out on your
Yeah.
record. How I was telling you, you
Right,
could get
right.
make it by I mean, this would do that for you too, just
Yeah.
naturally.
I'm just curious if the DR40 is powerful enough, has enough gain to work with the SM7B, because I know that it needs a lot of gain to work properly.
Try it.
Yeah.
Though I think it will, because actually, no, I'm thinking about it. Like back at Podcast Movement, I was at Sean Smith's setup, and we used the SM7Bs, and
Right.
we recorded into, I don't know, I forget what the box was, but it was like XLR to USB, and then into the iPhone using that Boss
Yeah.
dock or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think he was using the crap. I used to own one of those things. I can't think of what it's called.
Is there anything you haven't owned?
Sure. Funny. I'm just working my way towards it, though.
You got a checklist.
He's like, oh, I got that checked off.
Yeah.
You don't have to own it forever. You just have to own it for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool. So I don't know. I you know what? The next time, because of that buzzing sound, I'm gonna probably try it before I get her involved, like bring her over to do any recording. But it's the buzzing thing is really annoying. 'Cause like I said, I gotta edit this not last week's episode, but the week before's episode. And I'm still behind. Like I'm just behind because I was trying to like get the audio to clean it as much as possible without losing the quality of the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I might give that task a try. It's just, to me, it's always just one more step though, right? Because then I gotta like plug it, either gotta plug it in via USB or take the SD card out and plug it in the back of the computer.
That might take seconds. It's
I know.
terrible. I can't imagine.
Versus just like hitting the record button in Audacity and plugging one mic in. I mean,
Yeah, but the sound quality difference over. I don't use a Tascam machine, but the H4N over just recording into Audacity, it's night and day for what we've been doing. So that's when we switched. We could never go back, and then we got rid of Audacity too. So we're on to other stuff. But
What are you using?
I'm using the Adobe Suite. I've got
yeah, I use Audition. Yeah.
and it's a lot harder to use, but the stuff it can do is way cooler. So
Mhm.
I'm learning it. I'm muddling.
Yeah.
My partner Dave is much better at it than I am.
Yeah, I'm a big Adobe fan.
yeah, I've never used Audition.
It's not as intuitive as
It isn't, no.
Audacity, But luckily, there's YouTube, and I do a lot of like having a YouTube video on my iPad on how to do something while I'm on my computer, just mimicking what I'm watching on YouTube. And it's been a great learning tool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I subscribe to Udemy. I'm on their email list, and they're kind of like lynda.com. And so, like Mike Russell, who's fantastic, he's got a whole tutorial series for Audition. That's a Udemy course. It normally runs like $150, but they'll send out coupons really often, and I got it for like $10 through one of their
Wow.
coupons.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so just subscribe to Udemy's email list and wait for that coupon to come in and snag that course you've been looking at. Because they're different from Lynda. I think you can do monthly, but you also can buy by the course, where Lynda's more of a monthly program. But
Yeah, you used to be able to buy courses on Lynda, but now you just can. It's just a monthly thing.
yeah.
I can imagine a course being useful, because I muddle, but a course would take you through stuff you wouldn't consider.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
it's
would bring
comprehensive.
all that stuff. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
much better. I'm gonna keep muddling for a while.
Yeah, that looks good.
All right, guys.
I got a jet.
So do I.
there you go, too.
Okay.
I gotta watch the 49ers.
Real quick, everybody, starting with Clay, say where you're from and how people can connect with you.
Yeah, sure. Clay, I'm the co-host of the Fish Nerds podcast. I'm in New Hampshire. You can find us at fishnerds.com, of course, and anywhere you find your podcasts.
Daryl?
Yeah, so I'm Daryl Darnell, and I own Pro Podcast Solutions, and I do audio production and consulting for podcasters through that. And then I have Golden Spiral Media Podcast Network, which is primarily TV and film TV podcasts. And then I've got one called Stuff I Learned Yesterday on there too. So yeah, check that out at goldenspiralmedia.com.
Cool.
Awesome. And Steve?
All right, Steve Childs. I'm co-host of A Flood of Talk, a Game of Thrones podcast. You can find us at afotpodcast.com. We're also on Stitcher and iTunes, and you can follow me on Twitter at NetZen2010.
Look at you singing.
Hey, man, that's I start doing that stuff, and I'm almost in my freaking podcast mode. You know what I mean? So,
And as always, I'm Joe Pardo. I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. You can get everything at joepardo.net that I do, Dreamscape Podcast Network and all that, Birth and Dreamers Podcast and Podcast Middle Lane. All that's at joepardo.net. Go check it out. Thank you guys for coming, and I think the next one is going to be on September the 28th at 9 p.m. again.
all right.
So hopefully I will see some of you guys there, and hopefully we'll get like some more of the 28 people or whatever it was that
Yeah.
to be here in the first place. So
Yeah.
thanks again, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.